Okay. I'm Imani and I'm MC3 for today. Before I describe Chiya Amos' profile, let us show you his video.
Okay.
They were like, oh, you are doing this. And I said, yes, what's wrong? And they said, I thought you are a conductor. And I said, why can't a conductor do this? I'm an orchestra conductor. I specialize mostly in opera and ballet in Russia and the Baltic states and the Scandinavian areas. Basically, after the COVID-19 pandemic started, I haven't had any engagements across Europe or around the world for about a year already. And I decided to come back home because home is where the heart is. Of course, I did apply to several jobs. I'm looking to do something different, but I didn't hear from any one of them. And so I decided, why not continue to contribute to society in a very different way? I just started to send food to people. I've been a writer for 2 months. I'm very fair-skinned before. Now I'm a bit tanner. Having spent a lot of time in Russia where there's really no sun, it's very difficult to adapt to the sun. I was smearing sun cream, lotion, sunblock every day. But these days I'm a little smarter and I know my roots well and I know where the shelters are, so that's better. I'm very positive that things would be better around the world and theaters would open again and I would be conducting again. But at the same time, I am seeing this as a self-learning journey, a journey of self-discovery. I mean, I am now really calmer. I feel that I understand people a lot more. I'm more sympathetic to people. Like, that's a very important skill to have and something that cannot really be taught.
Amazing, Mr. Chiya Amos. So, guys, Chiya Amos is the Singapore-born music director of the Kitas Orchestra in St. Petersburg. He is renowned for his active involvement and broad working experience in the world of opera, ballet, and symphonic conducting throughout Russia as well as around the world. He is also the founder of Sentire, a project to help the hearing and visually impaired access and enjoy the performing arts in Singapore. In addition to his acclamation as an accomplished conductor, Mr. Amos is also the creative advisor of the Foundation for the Arts and Social Enterprise in Singapore, a private sector-led and government-supported platform that aims to promote art projects and socially oriented initiatives. So guys, introducing Mr. Chiya Amos. The floor is yours, Shaun.
Wow. Hey, Chia, where are you? I can't see you on my screen. Oh, here you are.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for inviting me today. It's wonderful to see so many people. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone enjoyed that video. I honestly haven't seen it. And as you can see, I'm a bit slimmer right now after working Food Panda in the sun. Yeah, and thank you guys for having me today.
Chia, I'm not sure if I'm more nervous about the 1,000 people or finally meeting my idol. But either way, I am super excited for you to be here. I am super honored. I remember having sent you some messages, and then without any reluctance, you say, "Hey, I'm all for it. I want to share my message with your Bruneian young people." Before we get on to something serious, right? What time is it in Russia? How many degrees? And how do you say hello in Russian?
Okay, so it's 10 in the morning right now. The sun hasn't risen because in winter it comes out at 10:30 and then it sets at 3, so it's very depressing. My wife is still asleep, so it's still quite early in the morning. It's a little bit warmer. It's like -7 degrees, and that's warmer because the past few days it was -25. It was the coldest week in 185 years.
Oh,
But
wow.
honestly, I think they are lying because about 8 years ago I was here, it was about the same temperature. So maybe it was like a different part of the city was the sort of coldest. It might have gone -30. But yeah, -5 is kind of warm for us, I guess.
I just cannot imagine. Outside right now, Chia, as I'm looking out the window, it is raining and the sky is a little bit gray in Brunei. Not yours, mine. Mine.
Well, mine is equally gray, but it's just very snowy, I guess.
So we can only imagine what it is like in Russia. I want to very quickly, just walk you through the thought process of this conversation. Of course, the theme is about resilience, about building that what one of our students say as mental toughness. Right? Before we get there, because we have watched your movie, yeah, I want to know a bit about your background, number one, and then I want to know about your very peculiar choice of career. Leaving Singapore to be, I don't know, most Singaporean would be doctors, lawyers, or CFO, but you go and be a music conductor. And not only that, right? You fly all the way to -27 degrees, and that's freezing. That's crazy. Right? So I want to know everything about you in half an hour. So good luck to me and good luck to you. Right? Let's start with. Let's dive right into it. Right? Why do you choose Russia, and why do you choose music as your career?
So the very first question, why Russia, right? Honestly, I've been here for 9 years and I still ask myself the same question. I'm like, why in the world am I here? Honestly, I didn't choose Russia. I was actually pretty comfortable in London. I moved to London when I was 16 by myself, and that's another story that we can cover. But I left home and I studied in London by myself when I was 16. And at the time in 2011, the government in London decided to let's just triple the school fees overnight. And even though I did have a scholarship, I couldn't afford that new school fees. And so I was kind of looking to study elsewhere in Europe. I was actually looking at the Netherlands. I was a pianist and composer back then. I never knew anything about conducting, and then one day I had to perform a piano concerto. I'm not sure whether you guys know what that is. It's a pianist together with like an orchestra, so we just performed together. And then the conductor had stomach cancer, so he said, you know what, can you take over the rehearsal? My score is there, just wave your hands because we have gone through this like 8 times. I'm like, okay, fine. So I conducted while I played the piano, and someone saw it and he said, you really should just quit piano right now and do conducting. So he recommended me to Germany, to many places. But I was so fresh in conducting, I didn't know what to do. I failed the entrance exams in almost everywhere. And finally, after I failed the last entrance exams in Finland, a professor who happens to be in Finland at the time said, "Why don't you come to Russia? Even though you don't know the language, we could have a special admissions for you." And I said, okay, fine. And I took the exams. I passed in Russia, thankfully. And I went there. And the fees in Russia back then, 9 years ago, was so much cheaper. So I was very, very lucky. So the main motivation is survival. I would say that's the main thing. And at that time, I still thought, yeah, I would just learn music and conducting, but I'll still be a teacher or something. I never knew that I would actually eventually be a conductor. Yep. And as
So
you
the
can see
rest
from
is history, as they say it, right? How is your
Yeah.
Russian right now? And what have you gained from Russia? I know,
Uh,
I know you have married a beautiful Russian wife as a result.
My Russian is fine. It goes up and down because I know about 8 languages, or I think as of today, yeah, about eight languages. So my head works like a Google Translate. My native language is, of course, English, and it just works like a Google Translate. I don't speak other languages naturally, so sometimes it takes time to sort of process the translation timing, and people think that I'm like stupid or something, but I'm actually just trying to translate it in my mind. It's fine. Russian was very difficult. I don't recommend anyone trying to learn Russian, in fact.
Chia, we spent 3 hours together the last time, and I was so fascinated about you that, I learned almost everything there is. And I want to dive into a few very interesting points about your
Mhm.
life. And before I rudely interrupted you just now,
No, it's fine, fine, please.
Farah was showing a picture of your dorm. And
Oh,
the last
yes,
time that
yes.
we spoke, you had a very interesting experience. First time having been to Russia, living in that dorm. Can we have that picture? And then
Oh,
I want you to
yes.
walk us through that
Yeah,
experience.
I
What's it
wanted
like
to
going to,
actually, yeah, I wanted to stop and say something about this, but it was gone so quickly. I'm like, okay. So yeah, as you can see, unfortunately, I didn't take a lot of photos back then. Not everyone had a camera phone. I don't think I had a camera phone back then. This
no,
was like
no one had, no, 9 years ago.
small little camera, and I came here thinking, yeah, Russia is not that bad. It's bad, but it's not that bad. But my dorms were horrible. We had to share a room with four, and I don't mind because if they're nice people, they're not nice people. They don't speak English, and I don't speak Russian well back then. And I remember some of my things were stolen. My cash was stolen, and I couldn't do anything about it. I was very upset. It was cold because the year I came in, global warming hasn't really kicked in yet. So it was really cold that year. And as you can see, the windows were horrible. Even though it's sort of double walled, it's horrible and everything. And we were quite far away from the school. We were near this industrial district, so it was very, very, very depressing. When I first came, I remember I was calling my sis, and I said, "Oh my God, I just want to go home right now." And then she says, "You should just press on. You'll be fine." I was very, very lucky because after about I think four months, I have a classmate who said, "Do you want to share a flat with me?" And then we sort of moved out to a different place, which is much better. Yeah.
The reason I brought up this very interesting story is that, as we look back, everything connects. Like Steve Jobs' speech about connecting the dot, right? And you mentioned that it was tough earlier on in life for you, selecting something that no one understand. Family do not agree for you to learn uh, music, and then you go to a foreign place, you don't speak their language, the living condition is really, really poor. But today you are who you are is largely attributed to all the hardship, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. In fact, well, people in Singapore say boys become men after national service. Yeah, but as compared to national service, this uh, this is so much more enduring, and it's so much more difficult. National service is still something pretty comfortable these days. They have like iPads and stuff, but if someone is put into like an environment where it's so hostile and so unfamiliar to them, and he's able to familiarize himself, and I think that's the most important thing, because we live in a modern world these days and everything is so comfortable, and it's great. We have Amazon, we have I have no idea what you have over there, but we have Amazon, we have Carousel, we have whatever. You can get anything you want within, I say, an hour or so. But if you actually go backwards and you really think about how life is like in other places, you would really appreciate more. and you would learn that we shouldn't take advantage, and we shouldn't feel privileged over stuff like that. Things should not come to you. You should work for things.
Wow, wow. I'm going to ask one more question, and I'm very mindful of the time. We have until 3:20, but Chia, you mentioned the last time with Farah that if we don't have enough time, you're happy to have a private session of coffee with our audience. Is that right?
Yeah, of course, sure. Time is so tight, and I know everyone has to stick to the time frame, but I'm happy to have like a round table session. I'm sure
Okay.
I can see my chat box like ringing right now. I'm sure everyone has so many questions, but I'm pretty happy to,
Okay, this
sit
is
down
this
for
is
tea.
what I'm gonna do, right? We will agree on the time, right? Outside of BIBDS, right? And then we would invite the audience back, right, for a longer conversation. But
Sure.
right now, let's make sure that I make the most out of
Yeah, of
this
course. Yeah.
conversation. I
Let's
will
go.
ask one more question, and then I will open to the floor, and then we will wrap it up. So sorry, it's so exciting, but guys, we will have another session sometime soon. All right. Now, my question stems back to that video that you watched for the very first time just now. Is there any part of you, and I know that COVID has affected your business, your pocket deeply because all the shows been canceled, right? But still, you are an award-winning conductor. You travel around Europe. Is there any small part of you thinking that, hey, I'm too good to be delivering food on Go Panda? It doesn't make sense to me what you were doing, but I deeply respect it, and I think one of the reasons, aside from people coming in to watch DJ Natsuri today, is to find out the exact same answer, right? Why are you willing to roll your sleeve up? From minus 27 degree to 34 degree, that's a huge difference, right? To do all this. What are the lessons in that?
Yeah, I think that is the main question that everyone wants to ask. And of course, the main thing that's on my mind actually, daily I sometimes go to Facebook, Instagram, and I see people who are less qualified doing concerts again. I guess there are many, many lessons, there are many things that I want to share. I guess the most important thing you have to know, and some of these might be a bit cliche, is that the grass is not greener on the other side. Okay, so never ever compare. Do not think life is a pyramid, but life is a circle. Sometimes I would say, yeah, I'm better than some of these conductors. Why are they stupidly waving their hands there when I can be there? But then again, I would think there are so many of my colleagues who also finished the same course as I did, and they are doing something else. So always know that there's someone better off and there is someone worse off. You can't compare things because it's such a toxic way to live your life. You can't always compare it to something else. You must always be at peace with yourself and just find the best way to do things and understand what is the main mission or the main thing that you want to do in your life. For example, if a conductor wants to show off and be a big superstar, then that's of course not the really right way to live their life, but I wouldn't judge him, and then he can do that. But my purpose is to sort of collaborate, and I enjoy making music. And even though yes, it's quite sad that I can't perform much these days, but I still try to perform with other groups, and even though the standard is not very high, I still enjoy the music making process. And one thing that I always tell myself, and I always try to keep grounded, I have this sort of mantra, which is Shanti. It means sort
Shanti.
of, yeah, it means sort of at peace with yourself. So whenever I feel jealous or I feel useless, I try to say, things are not that bad. There's always someone better. There's always someone not better. You can't compare. I am pretty sure people with like PhDs in engineering would be like, why is Elon Musk making so much money when I am more highly qualified? I built the sort of spaceships and stuff, but I'm not that person, because there's always someone else above and someone else underneath you. We are all
Chia,
part
Chia,
of an ecosystem. Yeah.
so sorry, we have 3 minutes left. I want to make
Yeah.
sure that the audience get a chance to ask their question to you, if it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Does
Yep,
anyone
so
have any question?
open my chat up.
Okay, let me pick, because I have Ryan all the time. I have spoken to Jing Jing. Asha was here before. Let's pick Faiz. Faiz has a cat that just, sadly been stolen by the monkey. And last night
Oh
we had
no,
very
I'm so
very
sorry to hear that.
touchy conversation. Faiz, why not you ask your question? And for the timekeeper, let's finish this after this question. All right, we're still a little bit of time from the next session, but let's listen to it.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, Faiz.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Shaun and Mr. Chia. And our team was very inspired by your move about this entire project. So we want to ask, why did you decide to help the hearing and visually impaired access and enjoy the performing arts in Singapore?
Yeah, so this is a very,
you did your homework. Excellent.
Yeah,
You did your homework.
this is a
Chia,
very
take it away.
important.
Sorry.
Yeah, this is a very important thing, and I think people can learn from it, because if you realize, we are actually putting labels on people around the world. People are saying that you are disabled, you can't enjoy music, you can't watch things. There are sort of labels on people. People think that I am a conductor, so if I do something else, it's somewhat unnatural. So it all stems back to this. Why did I decided to help these people? Because when I was a composer, we had this interesting program where every week we have people from other sectors coming in and say what kind of music that they like. We had cooks, we had architects, we had just normal housewives, and once we had a Paralympian. And then he says that some of us who are deaf and blind, we would like to watch opera and enjoy it in a way that we can, but people have been labeling us as disabled. Sometimes we don't want that label. We are just another person who probably either lost a limb or we can't see well or something, but we are being sort of labeled as undesirable. So that made me start to think, and I started to write music that really cater to a wider audience. And I realized that in Singapore, the hearing and visually impaired, they don't watch ballets, they don't go to concerts. And the very typical thing to do for them is to, just hand language, whatever. But we decided to do something a bit different. So for the hearing impaired, we decided to build a very special floorboard that allows them to sort of sense some haptic feedback. And then we had colors for them. For the blind, of course, we not only have, sign languages for the operas and stuff, but sorry, I mean, we not only have other ways for them to feel, but we also got the sort of people on stage to actually interact with the blind, so they actually feel what is going on instead of just listening to the music. So we are basically integrating everything together, and that's the whole thing. Another key word to say, it's an ecosystem. Like, everyone belongs to the same ecosystem, we belong to the same universe. We can't exclude people out just because we want to pursue our selfish purposes, like stuff. So we need to include everyone somehow, and that's the problem with a lot of sectors these days. For music, a lot of performers just want to book a hall and perform, but they don't care who they're performing for, that they don't care why they're performing today. They just want to look good, wear nice suits and be up there. So we want to change things like that. Like, we want to perform for a purpose. Like, why do we do that? Not just to sell tickets and look good. Yeah, because
So precious.
if you really look at things, and if you really pick up a concert booklet, let's say a pianist, and if you go up to him and ask him, why are you performing this? He probably say, well, I like this music, I just practice it, but there is no real purpose. Why is he performing that? He can't answer that question. But we have to always have a mission in everything that we do. You know, like it doesn't matter if you have a failure. The failure is part of that journey towards the final mission that you have.
Well said, Chia.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have eaten 3 minutes into the next session's time. Guys, rest assured that I will be bringing Chia back for a conversation. Thank you so much for waking up so early for us. Yeah.
Nothing, man.
Yeah, how do you say goodbye in Russian?
Das vidania. Das vidania. Or
Das-
just paka, paka. You can say paka.
Everyone, let's have a
Paka.
warm good night paka with Chia. Paka, everyone.
Paka.
Bye.
Kasvidania.
Bye.
Go.
Baka.
Baka.
Okay, take it away, Farah.
All right. Thank you so much, Shaun, and thank you so much, Mr. Chiya. That was a wonderful talk. So to quote Mr. Chiya earlier, we should not take advantage of the things that we have, and we definitely should not feel privileged. Things should not come to you, and you should work for it. But most importantly, wherever you are and whatever you do, please always remember that you have to be at peace with yourself. There is truly a feat of resilience and adaptation, and I'm certain that our youth can learn so much from Mr. Chiya. And we certainly look forward to the coffee session with him.